Hello everyone and welcome back to Coffee Chats AM. It is Wednesday, May 22nd, and I am your host Bob. Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Coffee Chats AM. I really wanted to put an emphasis on the coffee itself. So this morning I'm going to be giving you just a brief history lesson of coffee as our first topic today. I did a little bit of research this morning, found a cool little story, and just, overall thoughts of how coffee spread throughout the world. So the origins of coffee. So legend has it, coffee is believed to have been discovered by an Ethiopian goat farmer named Kaldi. Kaldi was out in his farm one day when he noticed that his goats were eating a red berry from a particular tree. And then after a while, he noticed that the goats were extra active, extra hyper, running around the farm. And that is believed to be the story of how we found the bean used for coffee, a coffee bean. So interesting story coming out of Ethiopia, where then soon after it spread to Yemen in the 10th, 11th, and 12th centuries. So the story is that the Kaldi found the coffee bean in the 9th century until it wasn't really farmed until the 11th and 12th century. After a while, it began to spread to the Middle East in the 16th century, is where you would see it in Persia and the Arabic and Islamic countries. And this is where the first coffee houses were starting to arise in the Middle East. Not long after, it made its way to Europe, where it was in Spain and France and Germany and places like that. I believe there would probably be, I think that's where it really began to take off, as these coffee houses were used for intellectual speaking and dialect, where people would go and share ideas and things like that. So yeah, not long after Europe, in the 17th century, it made its way to Americas in the 18th century, where it was down in the Caribbean and South America, North America, and really is where you start to see the globalization of coffee itself. So from there on, you can see coffee be a global commodity over all corners of the globe. And I think coffee is really important to society. You always hear the stories about employers want to give their employees free coffee at work so that they work harder and that they're more focused on their work. And I think there's some truth to that. I think, back in the day where they had these coffee houses in the Middle East and in Europe, people were going there to get energized, to have these intellectual conversations and really work. And I think it's a great asset to, the world. So that's why I wanted to just touch on that this morning. If you guys are interested in more history of coffee, you can look that up and see the finer details. But I know there's a lot of information out there. It's one of our longest standing commodities in the world. So that's it. I'm drinking an espresso Ethiopian brew this morning myself. All right, so topic 2 I wanted to touch on as well this morning is kind of a sales tip that I have been using and that I think is important to share. Over the course of the past couple years, I've been trying different side hustles between, Shopify dropshipping and starting up my AI enthusiast calls where I speak to people about, what they could do for their business and stuff like that. And one of the best selling tips I could give you is that people sell to people. I know some people get too worked up about finding, an amazing product. This product can sell itself. I've tried that. But when it all comes down to it, there's always a person behind that camera selling to you, or a person behind the ad you see on your phone. So I think it's important to remember that people sell to people. And sometimes I get caught up in the woodwork about this myself. It's like, this ad needs to be perfect. This graphic needs to be perfect. The product needs to have this on it to be perfect. And it's like, yeah, that's true. But at the end of the day, you're just selling to a person behind a screen, or you're selling to a person door to door, or you're calling someone over the phone. And you have to remember that, you're just having a conversation with a person, and that people sell to people. So make that emotional connection and really understand what the customer needs and what the customer wants out of your conversation or out of your product. Sorry, it's windy out here today. And then our final topic for today, I'm going to jump over to sports. Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, Celtics versus Pacers. A shootout coming down to the wire last night, where the Celtics were able to still win. I think that's a huge win for Boston because the Pacers really had them where they wanted them the whole game, and they ended up winning that win. And that's just one for the Pacers that you can't let that happen. Boston's just too good. Boston is going to take advantage of that, and not now. They're up 1-0, so it's going to be tough for the Pacers to. I mean, I think they're a good team. I think they could still win 2 to 3 games, but they had that game in the bag last night, so it's tough to see. They really needed that one, but great showing by the Celtics. Late game heroics again by Jason Tatum and those guys. So that's it. So this has been another episode of Coffee Chats AM with Bob. Give me a like, follow, whatever platform you're watching this on. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And yeah, thanks for joining.